So as you're looking out over here, you kind of see all the stakes. It kind of looks like a big tomato field, but in fact it is not. These are apple trees. So I've realized this year we have yet to talk about our nursery that we planted last year in the fall, you guys. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give you an update on our 3 apple varieties and whether or not they did take or did not take in the nursery, and whether or not we will be doing some regrafting later on this summer. So if you have been following along, you know that we grow all of our own fruit trees on our farm. So last year was no different. We decided that we needed to have some more apple trees. So we planted M106 rootstock and then grafted over 3 different varieties of apples, those being Ida Reds, Honeycrisp, and Ambrosias. So last year, all the buds took in, healed over nicely, but as the growing season starts here in the spring into late spring, early summer, you can really start to tell which plants actually are gonna grow and turn into that tree that we're looking for. In order for us to have a successful nursery, you guys, these buds have to take off in the spring. So where we grafted over needs to be healthy enough to push out that new growth, and then we go through and we cut off the existing rootstock plant that is above the graft union. So 2 of the 3 varieties, the Ida Reds and the Honeycrisp, did a great job. They look fantastic, but one variety here behind me, the Ambrosias, did not take as well. So I'll show you guys what it looks like when the failed bud does not produce a new branch. So you can see here's a chunk where they did take. That's why they're all cut off already. But then you get here and you can tell that because these plants are still up here, this is the actual rootstock, right? This is what we planted in the ground. So you can see that this run of them is not cut off like these. These are successful buds. These did not take. So we have this plant here that we're growing. When you have plants that are still thriving and growing, we're still gonna take care of them because we can go actually in later this year and we can regraft this on the other side of the trunk from where the old bud is. So there's still a potential that we can rebud and we can reuse all of these that didn't take, and we can try it again here and hope that we can get these trees to take next year. So here's a good example. You can see the bud here is above my finger. That is what did not push out new growth right here. So this is the actual chip bud from the previous, or from the apple branch that we used. So this whole chunk healed in between my fingers nicely into the rootstock behind it, but it just didn't take, or that bud had died at some point, maybe over winter, and didn't want to push out. But enough about what didn't take. I'm going to show you guys how successful it can be and what it looks like when these new buds push out some really good growth early in the year, where we couldn't be happier. So here you can kind of see that this is the cut that we had made with the additional plant, the rootstock. We cut that off. So all of this from here all the way up to the top, these are all new branches that started out as just a little tiny bud at the bottom. But we go through, we cut those off, and they turn into this nice new growth. Look how great these leaves look. We're still pushing out the top all the way down the line. But obviously you can tell that we have added some bamboo. I'll show you what happens when we get a lot of wind and we aren't able to support these trees with the wind, with the nursery. So what happened was we got a little bit of wind, and since all of these grafts are on the back side of the rootstock, you can see the wind coming in from the west has pushed them over and actually broke a couple. So what we decided to do is we got some bamboo sticks from our southern nursery and we tape them all up just like this to help these trees continue to stay vertical and not blow over in a big wind. So here you can tell that this one a couple weeks ago did not make it. This was up higher at like so, blew over in the wind and snapped. We tried to save it by adding some grafting tape to the plant to try and peel that back in, and maybe it would take, but we have not had any success. Here additionally is another one where we tried to heal it. It looks like it is healing up actually because we have some new growth there, but I'm not sure why this plant did not get a bamboo stick, but it is now broken, even though it was just still barely alive a little bit. But again, without that bamboo stick, we don't have the strength to hold that plant up like that. So that's why it's very important that we are tying these up now. So some of the maintenance that we still continue to do in our nursery is we rototill the strips behind me, and then every couple weeks we go through and we hoe in between the trees to keep the weeds away. And we do that because weeds continuously take water and nutrients from the soil and instead of that tree getting it, which is really the main goal. Is we're trying to grow a tree and we need to give it the best chance it has. So as always, we clearly have irrigation. We have this drip tape, which went in when we planted the trees. It goes down under the soil right with the root system. So that's really great. We have this flat hose that you can drive over when it's full or empty. So that's how we apply water. What's also a nice touch to help these trees grow is that we can apply fertigation, right? So we can put fertilizer into this blue line here and pump it out down with the root system and give them a direct shot of vital nutrients and nitrogen that they need. So in order to do that, it's very simple. We have a water displacement pump over here where the water comes up from the irrigation system in the adjacent orchard. And as that pumps it out, it just injects it right in with the water and we send it out. It's a great way for us to give the plant that nutrients. But with the ambrosia here behind me not taking so well, what we don't really want to do is continue to push these rootstock to get any bigger than we are. So what we're gonna do is the guys here have these new cup. So in order to keep the fertilizer from going to these ambrosia trees that don't necessarily need it, because we're not trying to grow that rootstock anymore, we have these new couplers that you can open and close, and that's how we're going to keep that fertigation schedule away from the trees that we don't want them to. So it's a pretty simple addition. The system that's already here, all we have to do is cut the tape in one spot and add that coupler in, and then it gives us the ability to open and close that. So we'll still water these plants because we have to keep them alive, because like I said, there are a few that did take, right? So we still have to maintain those, but we have too many of these. So what we're gonna do is rework these over, probably late August, early September. We will regraft these and then see if they take over the winter. And again, all this is in mind because we have 10,000 trees here in this nursery that we are gonna be planting in the fall of 2026 into another orchard that's over by our high density apple block. These are gonna be freestanding trees, not high density anymore. We just want to diversify our program just a touch. So we're gonna add more acreage with a little bit bigger trees, picked with ladders. So we will check back in after we come back from cherry harvest and we will see how high these trees are growing. Put a comment down below on how much taller you think these trees are gonna be. Right now they are about 1.5 feet tall. Put your guess down below how tall they'll be after we come back from cherry harvest. In the description down below, I'll put a link to the videos where I show you guys all of the steps and processes that you guys have missed since we started this nursery. I have the planting, the growing of the branch, the weeding, rototilling. We also have the budding, grafting, chipping process, which is actually super neat if you've never seen how you can turn a rootstock or root system of another plant and change it into a completely different tree. Super cool process. Again, we do it here on our own farm to save us some money. And I'll put a link to that video down below. You can see the entire process and check that out, you guys. YouTube wants you guys to watch this video next. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help support the channel.